I told the gang backstage, I said, that was so awesome. Everyone probably now has their vision and they're ready to leave. Right? We were back there dancing. We, you know, every year we do a survey at the end of family reunion on the best presentations, and the vision speech is always voted the most boring information by the most interesting presenters. Somehow I think that may be a political statement, right? All right, good morning. Well, thanks for joining us for this boring information. You know, somebody hold up that information. There you go. We're going to cover that in less than 2.5 hours. Got your watch? You ready to go? So why do we do this? Here's why we do this. Because in order to look forward, you kind of have to look backwards. So in order to kind of project what we think is going to happen, we need to take a step back and look at where we've been. All of this information, if I'm not mistaken, is already loaded.
That's right. It's at kw.com/vision.
kw.com/vision.
That's right. That's where they can catch there's going to be a streaming version. They can download these files so they can present them in their office or just study them. If they want to look at them on their iPad, they can.
So that's the point. Thanks, Jen. So the point is that as we go through here, we might even point out some of the slides that we hope that you'll pull out and use with your clients. We think it's that important. Well, let me introduce who's up on stage. You know my illustrious partner, Jay. We also have the head of heavy research, Brett, and then we have his awesome team of Caitlin and Ruben with us today. Trust me, it is a pleasure to work with these guys, and the thing that I'm always inspired about is how much they care about you, and how much effort and energy and really positive attitude that they put into trying to find the best information that you can use in your business. If there were any better advocates for the real estate agent in the industry, you wouldn't find them. They're sitting right up here today. Right?
We were joking backstage that some of these slides, they would have 2 weeks of work for like 5 seconds of presentation.
Oh, yeah. I told Ruben in particular, because he really, his head was down, and I asked him a question, he gave me the long answer, and I said, no, you can't give that answer. I know you spent 2 days on that slide. We're going to spend exactly about 10 seconds on that slide. But it will live in posterity. So that's what matters. All right, let's
perpetuity.
Jump. So what we're going to, we divide this conversation into several different areas. And we always start off asking the question, what were the numbers that drive the United States real estate? Then we'll look at Canada, and we'll even take a step over and look at global numbers for just a second. And then we'll move over into issues that are happening in the industry. We'll look at the economy. And then we always end by going to a couple of studies, starting with the NAR study, which again we find fascinating, trying to understand exactly what's going on in our industry with our buyers and sellers. So we'll have a fun morning. So let's jump right in. First thing we want to talk about is what happened to home sales. Well, here's the good news for all of us, and you already know this, right? Home sales were up. We always put that line across there so you can see how it compares to years past. And here's the thing that you ought to look at and just kind of understand where you are. Folks, you were in the 5th best sales year in the history of U.S. sales. Yeah. Well, those were the people that took advantage of it. Well, right? So they're up. They were good. And again, if you ask the question, what do we think is going to happen next year? We have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be somewhere around here, maybe a little higher. The expectation that sales would continue to rise and rise and rise and rise is what? If you look at history, it's not going to do dramatic jumps. If we break that down into monthly, it's always interesting. Now, this has had seasonality taken out of it. So when we look at these numbers, what we immediately see again is we had a couple of months in there that really jumped high, and then we ended the year back down on a slight lull. We suspect that reason may have had to do with the weather, and we may see that again January, February.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're not sure, but it looks like we're going to see. So just, prepare for that. When we look at what's happening with home prices, this is where it begins to become very instructive for us. This is where we actually, I know we geek out on this, but we'll actually sit in a room and talk for 3 or 4 hours on this one slide. And the reason we do that is to come in here and give you our opinion on what we think is actually going on. Here, just by explanation, because you're only going to see this slide for a second, so your eyes are already trying to adjust to what the heck it is. This is going all the way back to '89 when they start tracking all of this, and we're running it forward. And what we're trying to show you is that if we go back to '89 and run it all the way out, that essentially that yellow line, or whatever color that is what we call the 4% trend line. Now you can, once you understand that trend line, you look up and see what happened in '05, '06, and '07, and you go, oh crud. Because you cannot sustain that, can you?
No, you can't sustain that over long terms.
You can't do it. So the second that you see something that's happening like that, that's a real problem. Now the debate that we have internally is, can you get back to that 4% line? And what do you think? You think you can?
Yep.
Well, I think over a long period of time, eventually you're going to get back to it. But it kind of takes a long time for the housing market to recover to a long-term trend like that.
Or let me ask you this, Jay, or do you start a new trend line?
You can start a new trend line. If you go back to 11, we've been averaging like 8.9% year over year. And at that pace, it would only
since 11, so the last 3 years.
Right, and that's the recovery, right? We're recapturing stuff that was lost. It's not the same as a bubble where it's going above the trend line. We're trying to get back to it. And so you can really see it dramatically here.
Yeah, this gives you sorry to switch slides on real quick, but this slide right here gives you a great perspective of what Jay's saying. You can now take these kind of segments, right? 89 to 2000, 3.39%. We go to 2001, 2006. Folks, you cannot sustain 8.9%. You can't sustain it. If you thought about that running for any period of time, it would price everybody ultimately out of the market at that rate. It's just not going to do it. Mainly because wages don't increase at that pace, do they? This isn't going to happen. So the second you see that kind of appreciation, though everyone may be excited about it, the reality is the other shoe is going to fall. It's going to drop at some point. You see that. Now look what happened from '07 to 11. This is why they call that a Great Recession. Look at what happened to prices. Now here's the interesting thing. Go to 09 to 10. Folks, that's the greatest, since they've been measuring all this, that's the greatest increase in prices in the history of tracking numbers. Look how high it went. From 09 to 10. Oh, by the way, look what happened from 11 to 12. And then again, look what happened last year.
My arms will get tired.
And you begin to understand, we've been climbing out of this thing fast. Okay? So no matter what you think about the federal government, whether you like Republican policy or Democratic policy, at the end of the day, they got you out. They got you out. And they got you out really in fast time. It could have taken a lot longer. Okay? Now, were you clapping for Republicans or Democrats?
I love Democrats.
That's my wife walking your leg, just so you know.
What do you say?
I told you you should have played
Booze.
That's my wife walking in late. All right, so that's pretty much on pricing. The truth of the matter is can you sustain this kind of increase? What do you think, Jay?
No, I mean, you look at this last year, and it's the second biggest price gain, I mean, maybe the third in history.
Third in history.
Yeah, and that's just, you can't happen.
No, you cannot. No, you can't. So the truth of the matter is you're climbing out of it. The thing that we want you to understand is
Good time for sellers to
notice
sell.
again,
And
look
this
at the
means it's a
pricing,
great time
and
for
look at
buyers
from
to buy.
11, 12, 13. I want you to realize that most likely we've started a new trend line. And the reason is because I'm skeptical personally about ever getting back to the trend line if we take it all the way to 89. I'm very skeptical that will ever happen again. I do believe, and our research team pointed out, that if we continue to have just pretty good jumps, and this is the point that they made to us, we're probably only 2 years away from getting everybody back from underwater.
Yeah, that's right.
On average, right? In other words, we may never get back to the 4% line. As it continued, it would go. But notice that you're only, what is that, $25,000 away from everybody, on average, being back from being underwater.
I think we said 18 months to 2 years to claw back to the level we were at the height.
Right. Okay, that's the big takeaway. That's what we should make everyone in the United States, on average, feel good about this. All right, then we look at inventory, months supply. Understand that that line in the middle is what is considered a balanced market between a seller's market and a buyer's market. And we're moving, and we've been moving in the right direction. And the reason why there's pressure put on pricing is because we've been moving from buyer to seller, right? The second that we move from seller to buyer, okay, prices fall. So this is a good thing for us. There's not I would say this is, the federal government actually targets 6 months, because their view is that if real estate prices can appreciate between 3 to 6%, just write that down. Okay, and as we go through this presentation, we're going to tell you numbers like that we want you to write down. If someone were to ask you on average in the United States, what kind of price appreciation does the government want to see, what are they going to say?
3 to 6%.
They're going to say 3 to 6% on price appreciation. Anywhere in there, they're good. So when you look at a 4% trend line, the federal government looks at that and says, okay, yeah, they're happy with that. They're not unhappy with that at all. Okay? And by the way, that would be about a 6-month supply, right? That 3 to 6% has you hovering somewhere around that 6-month line. And that's what they want. Understand what 6 months means, and that is if we brought no more inventory on the market in 6 months, everything would be sold. That's what that means, okay?
Gary, back in 2005, we actually thought that might be the bottom of inventory, as low as it was going to get. Because we see homemakers, we're seeing home builders kick in and stuff, but with the snow, we might actually see January come in a little lower. We're trying to find the bottom in terms of inventory, but we expect that number to go up.
Yeah, I think that's right, Jackson. All bets are off with the weather. Okay? So then we look at mortgage rates. And here again is one of those slides that you absolutely want to go pull. And anytime you're working with buyers or sellers, if you want to give them a quick perspective on what's going on, slide these in front of them. This is one of those slides, right? If we go back to 2012, here's the test question. What was the lowest year in the history of mortgages? 2012.